just before COVID, we were doing Airbnb, and what we did at the same time is, we brought a lot of people on. We told a lot of people how Airbnb worked and how you could make money from it, and people were doing it. So it wasn't just the patties. And we'll probably go into the other part of the conversation as to why after a while I couldn't feel like I could do any more with the business, because my customers are predominantly Caribbean takeaways or like African restaurant or whatever. So it's not enough to scale, because the reality of it, what's that, like less than 10% of the UK.
Yeah.
So if you want to do serious business, then you have to cast in a wider field. But you can make a living and have a life relative to probably what your parents had.
Yeah, of course. And sometimes you need to test your product with your market as well. Like sometimes it's that product validation, and then you put in the things to scale. Yo, people, welcome back to the Bread and Butter podcast. You're here with myself, Tyre.
And myself, E-Man.
And as you can see, we're here in the Dubai studio.
Yes.
We're nice and chilled. As you can see, we're comfortable. We've got the t-shirts and the shirts on, feel me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're feeling comfy. But today we bring you a special guest. You know, in Dubai, we like to bring the best of the best. And we got one of our favorite Jamaican businessmen that's also an honorary African.
100%. I just found out today that he's not
honorary
Nigerian.
African. You know, I was shocked.
I couldn't believe it.
We even started the podcast late. I wanted to make sure that, bro, this is not a prank. We even checked the date. It's April Fool's. Listen, we got Mike from FlakeBake in the building. Pleasure to have you, bro.
Hey, big up Mike, man.
This is a real businessman. His flight is in a few hours.
Yeah.
And he graced us with his presence. So appreciate you coming, bro. How you doing?
Gents, thank you so much for having me. I feel like just the fact that you guys didn't know I was Jamaican, that alone will go viral.
Yeah,
I was wondering how many people don't know I'm Jamaican. So just to be clear, I was born in St. Catherine, Jamaica, and I've lived in Jamaica until I was 11, 12 years old, until I moved to the UK. So I want everybody to know.
You must have like bare Nigerian friends, right?
I do have a lot of Nigerian friends.
No, because you look Nigerian, number one, without fail. If you went to you look Nigerian, without fail. Like you look like a typical Nigerian person. Like number one, number two, the way your mannerisms, the way you conduct yourself, definitely Nigerian. Number three, your business ethic and the way you hustle. Like people, listen, I know my off camera. Like this guy is a hustler. Like he has that Nigerian hustle. Like he's relentless. Like relentless in getting to the top. Like he's not sitting on his laurels. He's always trying to grow, always trying to build. And then like just your humbleness about the way you just move such humbly. Like you know,
Nigerians humble.
No, the way they can be, but the way I would expect, like a lot of my Jamaican friends are a bit more braggadocious. A bit like if they were doing what you're doing, like
it's interesting. Yeah, I feel like Jamaicans aren't necessarily braggy, but it's quite similar to Nigerians. They like to enjoy their money loudly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Jamaican and Nigerians are very, very similar. Yeah. That's why I don't know if we can get along, but they're very similar. But yeah, I get told that ever since I was at college, everyone just assumed I was Nigerian. But full on Jamaican. If you come in my house, you're gonna know I'm Jamaican, because come on a Sunday, it's gonna be rice and peas, jerk chicken, the whole shebang, and without fail, there's gonna be rice and peas at my house on a Sunday. So yeah, full on Jamaican. I'm glad we cleared that up.
I'm glad we cleared that for everybody.
Before we move on from that, right, and we get into Mike's story, if you had to give Mike a Nigerian name, what would it be? Because I know what Nigerian name I'd give him, because he looks like one.
To me, he looks like an Ike.
Okay, I'm with that. To me, he looks like a Femi. I feel like a Femi to me.
Yeah, I feel like he looks more Igbo. You think he looks more Yoruba?
He looks like, if he was Yoruba, he looked like he would be a Femi, bro.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine you saying Femi and you responded.
Alua Femi. So that's what. Okay, I'll take the Femi.
So one thing we always ask people when they jump on the podcast, for people that might not be familiar with you or your content or what you do or your business, we always say, what is your bread and butter? So if you let the people know, what is it that you do?
So my bread and butter is selling Jamaican patties.
Come on.
Keyword being Jamaican there. Yeah, so I've started a company called FlakeBake in 2012. And we are now the largest handmade Jamaican patty manufacturer in the UK. And how the company started is that my dad had a Jamaican takeaway. And I always say it's a typical Jamaican takeaway. It was based in Peckham. And I was like, college, helping my dad at times with the business, went to university, and I'd come and help him from time to time. I studied economics and politics, wanted to become a trader because I did a number of internships while I was at uni, and even before uni, I did internships in investment banking. So very confident about that path of becoming a trader. In my penultimate year, me and my dad started talking about a Jamaican patty business. Why? Because we were already selling Jamaican patties and we saw what was happening in the market. We saw people like Levi Roots from 2008 just raising the profile for Caribbean food across the UK. You had businesses like Turtle Bay coming around and, Usain Bolt, just with Usain Bolt being on the scene, everybody wanted to know what this guy was eating to be so fast. So there's just conversation and talk about Jamaican food. And I could see in the world food aisle in the supermarket, more Caribbean food coming into supermarket shelves. So that was the idea why we wanted to try and use Jamaican patties, because it was already in retail. Not that we were trying to sell the patties in supermarkets, but we knew it was commercially viable if it was in supermarkets. So when I finished university, we decided to set up a separate company from the takeaway, and we found a separate kitchen. And from there, we would take the patties that we were already making, take that into that kitchen with some of the staff, borrowed a bit of money from a family member, my dad put his money in, and then we set up FlakeBake, where now we'd sell Jamaican patties direct to other Caribbean takeaways, and anybody that wanted to buy a Jamaican patty, we would sell them, but we're selling wholesale, so it's a B2B business. And that's how it started. And it started from the driver dropping flyers and leaflets, the postman, okay, when you go to houses, drop these flyers and leaflets off for us. And it just built from word of mouth. Didn't have social media presence initially or anything like that. We had social media, but it wasn't active, but it existed.
Yeah.
And the business grew from there, just word of mouth. And that's how we ended up becoming the largest handmade Jamaican patties. So when I say handmade, everything, the fillings being cooked in big pots, the patties are being made by hand, step by step. Everything's been done by hand. And it wasn't until 2024 when we entered this TV competition called...
Wait, let's get there.
Man's jumping. Bro, you would have cut to me 10 minutes. Give us a chance.
There's a lot of story, but
I've got a few
that's my bread and butter. That is my bread and butter. Selling Jamaican patties.
Hey, no one's done.
He went
started
in.
their timeline.
He went in.
That just stopped me. First question for me: can you make a patty from scratch?
What kind of infiltration is it? Do you know what? I can bake. I can definitely bake products. So in COVID, I spent a lot of time baking. So I can make a patty. Do I make them? I have an incredible team. So I'm never going to take credit. I'm never going to take credit for the patties that people eat. These amazing patties that people eat. But I can make a patty if I need to. Yes.
Yeah. My question is, number one, you mentioned that your dad's business was in where? Peckham, Nigeria capital. So no wonder. Do you understand? It's all in the blood here. Do you understand? It's all in the blood. But my question to you is, having your dad's business already, knowing it, did you need to go to university? Because there's a lot of young people right now that are debating, due to the cost and the rising cost of university, whether it's worth doing. Like you now going into business and already working in a business and doing all that you do you think your university degree or going to university has helped you or shaped you along the way in your journey now?
I mean, absolutely. Let me tell you from now, anybody whose parents or family member has a takeaway or a corner shop, get yourself to university, because that business no longer exists. So it's a success of what I've done off the back of going to university.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I also did a master's at Warwick University. So I did a master's in, it was called Management for Business Excellence. And it was essentially a business master, but in manufacturing. And that was probably one of the most useful things I've done in terms of understanding processes and making processes a lot more lean and things like that. So for me, it was definitely worth it. But also in terms of my wider kind of network, studying economics and politics, my internships in banking, that prepared me for the corporate world and just understanding how it works and things like that, investments. So I know it's a very expensive thing nowadays. If there's an opportunity for apprenticeships and things like that, and you can reduce that cost of going to university, or a company might pay for you and you're working while you're going to university, yes, I'd explore that, because it is a lot more expensive now. I'm not going to deny that. But getting a good education, yeah, I'm always going to recommend that.
I love the fact that Iman asked the question, because it's definitely one that people are asking now, especially in the UK. Like sometimes it feels like to survive, you need to go self-employed, you need to build a business, basically.
Facts.
So a lot of people question if education is important, but now it's seeming, and based on what you said and some of the podcasts we've had, that one thing that's been very valuable is intentional education. So you doing a master's in manufacturing when you know that you're going to go into your dad's business and you know you want to do that. And you mentioned a few things which I found quite astounding, right? You came out of university, you already know you want to do B2B, which is a game changer, by the way. You're paying attention to the market. I always say to people that sometimes you need to go and be exposed to something so you can even be switched on to the fact that some people are seeing Levi Roots doing these things and they're thinking up Jamaica, but they're not seeing the business opportunity that can come out of it. They're not seeing the adoption of Jamaican food. Usain Bolt, like all the things you said. What do you think was it? Was it something in your childhood, or was it the education that made you say that all of these things are happening and these are tangible things that are showing me that there's definitely a demand here, a demand big enough to go and get a new kitchen, borrow money from family and risk going into business?
I'm going to take it a few steps back. I've always been interested in business. So even back in Jamaica, my grandma has a small shop. So it's like a local shop where you go and, you don't necessarily buy a whole bread. You can buy half or a quarter of a bread, or you buy one single cigarette. Not that I'm encouraging anybody to smoke, but that's what the structure of the shop was. And I remember I would go to the bigger wholesaler for my grandma probably when I was about 9. And so I was always understanding how buying and selling works and
It's
stuff
just
like
powerful,
that.
you know.
So,
That's powerful.
yeah,
It's powerful,
I
you know.
always think back to that. And then
That's crazy.
when I
Buy
came
and
to
sell at 9. Buy and sell.
Yeah.
Wholesale.
Wholesale, just understanding that at 9.
But I was just going to the wholesale for my grandma, so
Yeah.
I could understand pricing that. Oh, she's buying the bread for this much, and then
Selling
she's
it for
going to
more,
sell.
just that alone.
Yeah, so I started to learn from that, and then when I came to the UK, my dad's always been hustling, buying and selling clothes. He'd go to America, buy clothes, and he's selling from his house until he opened up a shop in Peckham selling clothes, and became a landlord. So I started to learn early about renting and all that kind of stuff. And then when I was at school, I remember I started selling drinks. So I was selling drinks. I was buying drinks and making double the money. So I was buying Tango and selling them in school. And then I remember my uncle was the same age as me. He was coming to school as well. And I was like, do you know what? If I get my uncle to bring drinks in his bag, then we can sell even more drinks. And then I got to a point where I was even selling teachers' drinks. So I was always doing some kind of business thing from a young age. And then when my dad had a takeaway, it was just natural because I was around him. So selling in the shop and that kind of stuff and just paying attention. So I used to be on the road with the delivery drivers. So I could tell him, we were selling bread as well. And there was a sale and return business. So if you sell the bread this week and you went back next week and they hadn't sold half of the bread, you'd have to take them back because they've expired and you're replacing the bread. And I remember thinking, this business makes no sense, because if you think you made £100 this week and then the following week you realize you've only made 50, that's no guarantees there. So it's the patties. We didn't have a sale and return. And that's when I saw this is more commercially viable. You can make more money from this, but also patties were a product that a lot more people know. And then not everybody ate harder bread, right? But Jamaican patties, that was quite popular and it's quite known. So I was always, and as someone that studied economics, which is why I said the education piece is so important, I understand about supply and demand. I understood that, and paying attention to macroeconomic impacts and what's happening in the world. So I think always paying attention to what's going on around you, reading the news and just being interested in like global impacts. That alone is enough to help me make these kind of decisions.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's sensational.
I think. So go on.
No, you go.
No, I'm just saying, like growing up in Tower Hamlets, East London, a lot of my friends are Bangladeshi, and they again used to have cash and carries, and so naturally they were into business, they were into buying and selling because they had seen it, and the education that you can get, and I think sometimes even like being a parent, I think to myself, what am I teaching my kids? When they look at me, what are they seeing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because literally your family members, your family were teaching you business just by doing their life, like teaching you the fact that there's a possibility, there's possibilities outside of just regular employment. You already had that fixed in your mind that, look, if I don't want to get a job, I can always have a business because you've seen it. And people that you know, you trust, you grew up with, were having businesses. And to see where you are today, like, bro, I can't be more proud. Every time I go on LinkedIn, my brother, new award. I think, where do you even keep it? Like, where do you even do you have a whole house, like a room just for the awards? Because the amount of awards that you're winning, deservedly so. And I think it's so genius. Like, the thing I love the most is that you didn't create anything that didn't exist before.
Yeah,
bro, we've been buying patties in the world food aisle. Like, I buy them, I put them in the fridge. Like, do you understand? You go to the world food aisle, you get your patties because during the week, if you're busy, you can small a patty, eat it quickly, and then carry on with your day. Like, they've been patties, so but you weren't put off. And I always meet people that are man, I got this business idea, but there's other people doing it, and it's like, why would you let that stop you? Yeah. Like, why would you let that be a hindrance to you? Like, you're gonna do it in your own way, and you are a living example. And then the final thing for me, like, and I want you to explain the importance. Why is B2B so important? Because one of the things that I'm finding with most of my clients that are leveling up into getting to the point where they want to make millions, they move away from B2C and then move to B2B, whether that be business, whether that be contractors from government, whatever it may be, they move to businesses or larger organizations and they now have to tender and so forth. Can you explain the difference between maybe B2C and B2B and why people should, if you're really thinking about expanding your business, why the B2B model works?
Yeah, that's a very good question. One of the key things I'm going to say is volumes. So when you're doing, take for example, let's just take the product so that I'm selling. So selling Jamaican patties. A lot of people are doing kind of, what would you call it? They're doing like market stalls.
Yeah.
So market stalls, there's only so many patties you're going to sell in a day, and there's a lot of effort going behind setting up a market stall. So you're going to go, you have to go early, you set up, and then you wait for customers to turn up. With the B2B model, like, if whatever you're going to sell probably in that day, one customer will order that from you. And that's what I liked about the B2B model. You're going to be doing volumes. Yes, it's smaller margins, but then the structure of it, you're not necessarily customer facing, or your customers are other businesses. So the key for me was just I find it a lot easier personally. I find it a lot easier, and then you're not facing the end user. Yeah. And that if there's an issue, then they go back to where they purchase a product, and then the B2B customer comes back to you. I find that model a lot more straightforward for me, but then also your ability to scale is a lot faster. I found it. And when we talk about the next part of my business, it even changed my mindset even more when I realized how bigger the business can go when you're staying into B2B. So I don't have like the perfect answer. No, but
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But I've just found even like something like catering. Yeah. Like we did catering briefly, me and another friend, where, you know, if someone calls you up for a birthday party, it's just a small. But then when we did corporate catering, they paid you like 50% of that money up front. Yes. And then when we did corporate, we couldn't believe it. They paid you 50% of the money. We got all the things that we needed for that event, and on the day they pay you the other 50%. I was like, I don't want to open up a takeaway. I'd rather just stick to corporate catering because B2B model just seems to work so much better, and there's less wastages because you can plan and you know what the customer wants, or they tell you in advance. So I'm getting a lot of the orders in advance, so I know how to plan my production. Yeah. That to me is a much more secure and risk-averse structure.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of cons of B2C.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as a C. Bro, if you're doing B2C, it's a different story. Like, I'm coming back, it's hand-baked, when was it made? Come on, bro. Come on, do it for £5, man. Come on, we're the first customer today. Story. Yeah. Whereas when it's B2B, don't care enough for you. It's just payment. And I think the main thing is that with B2B, they need you to survive. They need you to make money. And when it's B2C, it's optional. Yeah. I actually don't have to buy.
You mentioned that negotiation. you're probably in a DTC environment, that could be every single person that comes in.
Yeah.
Whereas with the B2B, that agreement is made once, and then you're going to be selling that product for probably the next 12 months at that agreed contract.
Yeah.
So it's contracts.
Yeah.
That's the value of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
contracts allow you to plan.
Yeah.
Whereas DTC, maybe no one might turn up.
Yeah.
Maybe no one might turn up and the sales are rubbish.
And they're just sitting there. Because we've all been there where you bought the patty and you think, this has been there a couple of days because the thing's dry as hell. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's a much like better experience, effectively.
Yeah, for me. And then, you know, the structure of my life as well is better in that environment.
I love that.
Let's talk about you started intentionally to go B2B, right? You started with word of mouth, leaflets. I love the graft in it. And what other things did you do to kind of scale? And when did you feel that the scaling just started coming?
I'm being completely honest. Like we weren't pushing any other way from what I told you.
Yeah.
What we were working on though is from my experience at university, my master's, is perfecting our patty. How do we get the patty to be even better? So one of the things that I made sure my team did for probably like 1 year straight, write down every morning what we were working on, how we made the product, because this was changing over time. We were developing our patty. So it's not a granny secret recipe or anything like that. Me and my dad were developing these recipes with the team. And so every day when we had a great patty, we were like, okay, what did we do on this day? What worked? And then let's replicate that. And then we realized things like the temperature, even the temperature of the butter, all these different things were impacting how we made patty.
Crazy.
So we made sure whatever we did, we look at that and we're like, okay, this will become that like key recipe, and we're going to start using that. And people were just finding about our patties because the notion was the UK didn't really have good patties, or the ones in retail weren't very good. But here we had a really good patty, and if we supplied patties to a party or to a funeral, people would want to know where that patty came from. And we knew because someone would call and say, I had your patty at this person's party, I had your patty at a funeral, and we want to order it. Or I had your patty and I told the shop they need to be ordering your patty. And the thing, within our community, so within the Jamaican community or African community, if you have a takeaway, you probably know someone else with a takeaway. So you're selling a patty that's doing really well, you're going to say to them, you should be buying this patty. And it was growing from that. And because I saw it as a real hustle, one of the things I was delivering every day. And what I told the customer, all you need to do is order from the day before. I didn't have any restrictions on when you could order. I was going in at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. So even if someone texts me at 3 a.m., they're getting the patties that day. If they text me at 4 a.m., they're getting the patties that day. And so most businesses that were already established, you're going to order maybe a day before, 2 days before. But if you order in the morning, you're not getting the patty. And it's kind of bad to say it. I knew that the environment I was in, people weren't necessarily disciplined enough to follow that. So a lot of people, even at 1 a.m., my phone was going off. 2 a.m., my phone was going off. But because we had a takeaway, one of the things I identified was that at 10 p.m. when the takeaways closed, that's when people did stock check. So for most people, they're not thinking about sending a patty order at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. They're going to do it at the end of the day. So that alone meant that people were willing to text me. So that's the other part. I said, you can just text an order. Whereas most people, you have to call up.
Yeah.
And so because they were texting at any time of the night, or whether it's on WhatsApp or on text, when I woke up, I was packing the orders myself. So when I woke up, I saw all the customer orders. I'd write them down, pack them, the driver would turn up until I started driving. So sometimes I'd get the orders, pack them, go and deliver them myself. So that in itself made it easy for people to work with our business. Yes, it wasn't like formal, we had to order at a specific time, but it just gave them flexibility, and that flexibility brought a lot of customers to us. That was one of the key things.
Bro, I wanna plead with people watching this podcast. I beg you, lock in, man. Please lock in, because a lot of people start their business 2-3 weeks ago, and you want to say, yeah, invoice has to be paid 100%, and you have to text all of your information before you even get to speak to a human.
They got a form, hairdressers, they got all these. If you arrive late, you're gonna get a fine. And
you say that to a new customer. If you arrive late, fine, something, no refund. Like, just farabalẹ̀ a little bit. As we can see, somebody who is successful here and they did the hard grafts. They made it easy for the customer to purchase. I always give the example, bro. I'm not the biggest fan of Netflix TV shows and movies, but the interface is so easy to use. I can't get away from them, bro.
It's so
you got to the same,
bro. You go into Disney or Amazon, and you're like,
Prime is the worst, bro. Continue watching. I scroll down, bro.
When I want to watch it again,
yesterday, bro.
I was watching the
series
series
again, bro.
Why can't I find
I'm
it?
searching for it again. I was watching it yesterday, bro. So
I thought it was just me. Why can't I find? This should be the easiest thing,
bro. I'm not watching something worse on Netflix because Netflix is easy to use.
Bro,
you understand business, bro. Sorry, go on, bro.
No, I was going to say, like, with Netflix, you go on there, the first thing they're showing you is continue watching.
Yeah.
You go into Amazon, bro, you're scrolling to the bottom. You're all showing me movies that that nobody wants to watch. Like, to chat, and like what you said is so important. Like, now, for me, the biggest thing I took was, I don't know if anyone's watched the film Founder. It's about McDonald's. What you did is exactly why the McDonald's brothers were successful. They looked at, how do we get this to the customer and how do we improve it? How do we make like, what heat do we need to fry these chips at for how long? They had timers.
Yeah.
It was literally science. And I need you to understand, when you see people successful, I already told you, like Google FlakeBake, you see how many awards they've won.
Yeah.
It's not by chance.
Yeah.
You understand? Man is letting you know the work, the effort, the energy that he's put in. Like, and then also the fact that he said, you know what? I know my market. Sometimes you just got to know who you're working with. I know my customers.
Can I talk about that for a minute? This was, so the kind of context of this. So when I was going to school, I remember I played a lot of cricket, and I was quite good at cricket at the time. So a lot of the Asian boys, I was playing with them. When I got off the bus in Peckham, some of them went into like whether it's their uncle or parents, I don't know, but they went into the shop to work.
Yeah.
My dad also had his clothing shop.
Yeah.
So I knew these guys. When it came to running my business and I'm buying spring onion and thyme, I'm now buying from them. So we had a really good relationship. And I know the challenges they were facing from our people or customers. So I even understood how people did business. And I refer to this as, and I can say it because I trademark it, I refer to this as Peckham economics. So I understood the economics of the environment that I was operating in. I knew that I was always going to struggle to get payments and stuff. So what you're talking about, sign up and all that kind of stuff, or you have to, that was always going to be hard, right? So one of the things that I did was that I did give credit, and it was tough, but because I wanted the business, I'd give them credit. And it's also because a lot of our community business, they weren't making the kind of money in the way people really thought. So I knew if I gave them a little bit of time to pay, as long as they were ordering, I had cash flow. And so we never really, at the start, we may have struggled with cash flow because of bills. We had a big building and you needed to pay for it. But I really understood my customers. So they were always giving me enough cash flow that I could give them a bit of leeway to pay. So understanding your environment was so key. And because I'd gone to school with some of these guys, they gave me credit as well. So, and they knew that I was reliable whether it's from sports days, or I was a captain of my team. I was their captain, so they saw me as a leader anyway. So what I was doing in that environment, well, for them it was normal, and for me this was just my path anyway, because I was connecting the dots, and I realized that even some of the suppliers, they weren't as reliable. So I knew that as long as I said to the customer, we will get you the product the next day, I knew the challenges they were facing were they would order the product from a different supplier. Oh, the baker hasn't turned up, or this hasn't turned up. People thought it was me that was making the patties, because they'd call, I picked up the phone, I would pack the order. They would even see me turn up with the patties. But they didn't realize I had a full-on team behind me from early. So I was building a proper business, but they just saw me as a patty man because they just thought it was just me that was doing it. But really, I built a team, and I made sure we had a proper payment structure so people turn up to work. Whereas for the other places, they didn't necessarily have that. I had people in my team telling me, I work for this guy and he hasn't paid me for a month. He hasn't paid me for 2 weeks. I never did that with any of my staff members, because I wanted to have a reputable business in our community. And so I was always striving for that. So these are some of the reasons why it worked. I really, really understood the environment that I was operating in.
Well, you gave me tingles, bro. Like I'm getting goosebumps, like listening to you talk. And I just think to myself, bro, I feel like this episode, we might just have to just put this just on Patreon. You know, like I don't even want the work. Like I don't want anyone to see this for free.
Yeah.
This is like an MBA. This is like if you aren't gonna do it, like the gems that you're put. Like, do you understand what you're saying? You're saying that your boys that you're friends with, they all were working, and then they were giving you credit, and then you were passing on that grace to your customers in order to get customers. You understood your market to the point where what's the problem my customers are facing? Do you know how often in business owners never put themselves in the customer's shoe? Whether that's B2B or B2C, they never put themselves in the customer's shoe to say, what are the problems my customers are facing? How do I make their lives easier so they can order more from me? And how do I win business? Because I'm new. I'm moving into an industry that people already exist. They're already household names. What are the problems they're facing? We've all been to the Caribbean shop. You go there. Oh, you got a patty. Oh no, patty ran out. Or patty's not there. Or you know what? They've even told you I wouldn't even order that. It's been there for you. Like, you understand? Man, I'm honest.
Bro, and there's rumors that if they've got everything in stock, it's not a good Jamaican shop. Come on. Bro, they have to prove that they're in it. They need to have something missing.
So it's like you put yourself in their shoes, found it, and this is why you're successful. And I think, like you said, if you're watching this podcast, please lock in, because you see the guests that we're bringing you. Like, if I want to go home and watch this podcast back, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, facts,
like, this is the type of thing you want to be listening to.
Facts.
You know, I hear watching Bouncer and the Shade Borough doing not like adding no value. When your pockets are dry, you're locked into Bouncer exposing Shade Borough. You're locked in. Why are you not exposing your own bank account? You're in your overdraft and you're not. This is the type of things you need to be listening to.
And this is why I love what both of you do. You are like trying to uplift our community. You are saying to our community, look, if you want to grow, these are people who have done it. These are people who are excelling. And so learn from them. And you're giving them this for free. So I really admire both of you. You know, I used to follow E-Man. I still remember in the early days when I met E-Man and he was giving financial advice. And I was thinking, okay, I didn't know that. So I'm going to take that, you know, and I already went into property, but he was still giving advice, and to see where he's gotten to. And my wife introduced me to you and she was all saying, I listen to Bricks of Tips. And I was like, okay, cool. And now I've met you guys. I'm like, I feel so proud to be able to sit with you because you are people that we look up to. So well done for what you're doing.
I appreciate
it. I think we should watch this podcast because you're both giving like life lessons as well as myself.
I think we're going to talk about the competition on the show, but I need you to understand, like, for me, I'm a person, I just love positivity.
Yeah.
I love to see us win. You see, when I talk about your awards, it gives me so much energy, so much drive. Tyre knows. You see, if Tyre wins something, I'm on the phone, I'm congratulating him. Yo, I see you just won this. How did you do? Like, because you see, the better he does, the more money I make. Yeah. People don't understand. We want to understand it. You see, the better Tyre does in life, the better I do. Because any level that Tyre goes to, I'm now at that level automatically. Because when he gets there, he's like, E-Man, I did it. Bro, even like, we're in Dubai now. Bro, Tyre's like, listen, this is how I got to Dubai. If you want to, this is my plug, this is my that. He's like, after this, when we finish this pod today, Tyre's taking me, you know he's got a company now, he's a state agent. Take me to go and see property. These are the properties you should buy. Don't buy this one, look at it. Do you understand? There's nothing so all I can pray to, when I pray to, you know when you pray to God at night, I pray, God, help Tyre be more successful. Help Tyre be more successful. Yes, because the more successful he is, the more successful I am in life. Do you understand? And that's when I see you winning these awards, I'm like, God, give him more. Because the more blessings, the more rooms you're in, the more places that you go that they see us. Bro. And the more other people that say, well, Mike did it. Like Levi Roots. Do you know what? Once that he done his thing, do you know how many other sources came out? Because he's like, well, if they like this one, why not try this? This might be a thing.
That's very true.
And again, the population are buying it. They're buying reggae like they're buying tomato ketchup. It's the same thing. They're eating it with chips.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Spice up a little.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's one of those things that, like, the more you win, and then when I met you, like, obviously we met at events and stuff. Then when I met you with your wife, like, your relationship, the way you are, the two of you. I think in life sometimes you just want people to win. Like you deserve everything you're getting, and you're actually a wonderful person.
Yeah,
you're a wonderful husband. Like I see the way you treat your wife, the way you bring her around, the way you protect her, the way you lift her up. Like, bro, this is why I thought you was Nigerian. Like, I was so proud.
Don't get into trouble.
I was so proud to say I love a Nigerian brother.
He hasn't said anything yet, man. He hasn't said anything
They're gonna come for you.
I was so proud of that. I love a Nigerian brother.
The cultural sentiments. My wife is also African, so yeah, I do understand the cultural sentiments. But listen, that whole what is it? High tide rises all boats.
Yes,
and that's the kind of mindset that I go for.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to see everyone rise because if the sea rises, then boats, we're all going to do well. So I get it. You want Hire to do well because it means you'll do well. And he's been put me on. Like a part of the reason why we are here is because of my wife told me that he's moved and other people have moved to Dubai and we're like, okay, we need to go and look at this, and then since I got here, the amount of gems he's giving me and the amount of people he's telling me I can put you in touch with this and make this happen, I'm like, wow, this brother, like literally, it's the first time I sat in his car and he even sent a voice note to someone straight away saying, I've got a guy, he wants this done, just let me know what he needs and then we can get that sorted. And I thought, wow, this is the kind of community that I want to be around, people that just want to
help each other, bro.
And it's really special.
It's amazing as well. Do you know why? The sickest thing as well, even if we think long term, all of this stuff is going to help our children.
Yeah, facts.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
When we do a madness, it just paves the way. Like, we don't know that, like, you being successful, it's going to pave the way for our children, bro. There's now inroads, bro. Do you
don't even understand. You see, in my house, Uncle Tayo is that guy in my house. Mia, she's 6 years old. Ellie is what? Ellie's 9. Ellie was like, Daddy, we need to change the bathroom. Can you call Uncle Tayo? Because he does the show on the TV.
Bro,
he can help us fix the bathroom, and improve the house.
Yeah, he could.
I've literally come home and they're sitting in front of the TV and they're like, it's Uncle Tayo on the TV. The other day, when you came to the UK last time, I was like, Uncle Tayo's outside. If you see her, the steps they run, I said, bro, run outside, jump to give Uncle Tayo. Like, the kids, it's so important for them to see that, okay, yeah, Daddy's on TV, but Uncle Tayo's on TV. It's more than
representation.
It's so important. It's more than just me. I'm not an anomaly. We're here. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? We're here, we're doing bits. And it's like, that inspires them. Like my son, like Ethan, he's in year 7. He's already talking about, I want to go to Cambridge or Oxford. I said, there's nothing he can't. He said, my dad is on the television. There's nothing in his life he thinks he can't achieve. Do you understand what I'm saying?
It's an amazing place to be at. An amazing place to be at. I had a question actually when you spoke about culture, right?
Yeah.
When people start a business, your business is very authentic. I mean, you're a Jamaican that makes patties, in it?
Yeah.
So that's like part of your life. It's very
You
authentic.
should have known I'm Jamaican because I'm making patties. If I said meat pie,
no, because Nigerian can do
Nigerian can do anything.
Nigerian can make anything. Nigerian can make.
Nigerian were doing Chinese before Chinese. Nigerian man, they're like
where there's opportunity. But I want to ask, because a lot of people have businesses and they're questioning whether they should cast a wider net across all communities or just serve their communities, the market big enough in their community. One thing I'll tweak on that question as well, I want you to clear up a myth as well, or maybe an assumption from mine. So I think that if I was a Nigerian selling, I don't know, jollof rice, I'm really serving to Nigerians and Africans. But I feel like Caribbeans are very fortunate because Africans just like enjoyment. So when you're making patties, I'm sure that a lot of your customers are Africans as well, right?
My customers, they call it meat pie.
They're
gonna give it the name that they know.
I remember the first time I started dealing with.
That's so Nigerian.
But they're very different. Meat pie.
They're very different. Yeah.
But it's interesting because I didn't think I really knew about meat pie, so to speak. Yeah. But then I'm in a space where there was the building was surrounded by churches.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're working all the time. So even on Sunday, and the people would smell the patties being baked, and they would knock the shutters and open. I can smell meat pie. I was like, oh no, it's Jamaican patties. what's this? Let me see it. And then I brought it out. And it's meat pie now. And that opened up a wall. So I understood that you know they have a similar product.
Yeah.
And it led to me selling to the Nigerian churches, which is good. And then it started getting like actual Nigerian restaurants or takeaways buying patties along with their meat pie. Even to this day, I still sell to some of those people from in the beginning. With even pastors, I'll be delivering patties to some of the pastors' houses, and they keep that for their family. So maybe outside they're just praising meat pies, but at home they have their Jamaican patty stash.
I love that.
What was the question? Sorry, I probably went off tangent.
that clears things up. Like Africans are buying it a lot, but I think the thing that I said before as well. What is like from your experience, like are people wanting to cast like a wider net?
Yeah, that's it.
Or like is your community's market big enough? Like people often ask that question.
No, it's not. I mean, I think we'd gotten to a stage over time where things were okay. So one of the things, because I'd seen my dad in different business aspects, so saw him as a landlord, I wanted to do these kind of things. So it didn't take me too long to try and get a property, and my wife as well, she was pushing for that kind of stuff to get into property. So patties alone, I would say, wouldn't have been enough, but we were doing other things on the side as well. So the key thing, and she said, make sure you talk about the hustle that we did. So when we bought our first property, so 1-bed flat, and she was saying, we should do Airbnb. I was like, what? We just got this place. It's only 1 bedroom. What are we going to do at Airbnb? And she set it up, and she didn't even tell me. She was like, we just got a first booking for a month, and it was just 1 bedroom. So we'd set up the bedroom, but we hadn't sorted out the living room. So we just got a mattress, put in the living room, and we rented out our bedroom. So we used our bedroom. Well, most people wouldn't have done that because it's a 1-bed flat. And we used that money to either pay the mortgage or travel with. And we did that for a good few years until, just before COVID, we were doing Airbnb. And what we did at the same time is we brought a lot of people on. We told a lot of people how Airbnb worked and how you could make money from it. And people are doing it. So it wasn't just the patties. And we'll probably go into the other part of the conversation as to why after a while I couldn't feel like I could do any more with the business, because my customers are predominantly Caribbean takeaways or like African restaurant or whatever. So it's not enough to scale, because the reality of it, what's that, like less than 10% of the UK.
Yeah.
So if you want to do serious business, then you have to cast in a wider field. But you can make a living and have a life relative to probably what your parents had.
Yeah, of course. And sometimes you need to test your product with your market as well. Like sometimes it's that product validation, and then you put in the things to scale. So we'll go into the scaling part 2 of FlakeBake and what it is today. Before we do, let's talk about the television and stuff like that and how that came about.
So how that had come about. So it was, we'd grown from 2012 to 2020 to COVID. So that we'd been in business for 8 years, and like most businesses, we were impacted. So when COVID happened, I was actually in Jamaica at the time, and I'd spent quite a long time, about 6 months out of the country. And what I thought was going to happen was that, fine, we can probably get through COVID. But at that point, I wanted to stop anyway, because I thought maybe we can try and do something different. But what I thought would happen is that once we come out of COVID, the cost of things would be a lot higher, because that was the sentiment. Yeah. And it did get a lot higher. So, and we'd taken out COVID loans as well. So I thought, well, I've got 5 years to pay these back. Yeah. All I'm going to be doing is working for the next 5 years to pay these loans back. So I explained to my dad that I don't think I want to do this anymore. So by 2022, I said to him, this is not what I want to do, because all I'm going to be doing is paying back loans. So let's see how we can either close the business down, sell it, but we need to do something different. And we started to put plans in place to go and do something different. And in 2023, a friend of mine, even at the end of 2022, she'd sent me a message saying, I've seen this TV show, I think you should look at it. And eventually, at some point in 2023, I do look at the application, and I thought, well, if I'm going to close the business down, I've got nothing to lose anyway. So let me give this a go. What's the worst that can happen? We go on TV.
Name of the TV show?
The TV show is called Aldi's Next Big Thing. So the premise was, you go on a TV show and you pitch your product to the managing director of buying for Aldi UK, which was at the time Julie Ashfield. And if you win, they would help you to manufacture your product if you couldn't manufacture it. And then you get a special buy listing on Aldi shelves. And Aldi had 1,000 supermarkets. So for the first time, we would see your product in 1,000 supermarket shelves. We decided to apply. So I told my dad, Dad, I'm going to apply for this TV show. He was going off to Jamaica because he spends most of his time there. And I said to him, I'll let you know what happens. But, I'm not expecting much to happen. So I do the application and then I get a phone call from the producers and they said they want to interview us. And I told my dad, I get him set up on Zoom in Jamaica, and they really liked sort of like the chemistry between me and my dad.
I was going to say, they would have even loved the fact that he's actually in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this one with this guy. That's actually in Jamaica right now.
Can you imagine?
They love the fact
The
that my
producer
dad-
would be going crazy.
We've done TV, so we don't even know the story now.
Yeah, they love the story.
Dad's in Jamaica. He's here.
So being on TV, they want a good story, like father and son, immigrant
Love
story, all of
that.
work.
They love that.
So they said they wanted us on the show, and I told my dad, you're gonna have to come back for this show, etc. So when we pitched, we were up against I think 4 or 5 other brands, bakery related brands. So in the bakery category, we went down to Aldi to pitch the product. And we got into the finals. So the challenge that we had was they loved the product, but because we were B2B selling the product in boxes, they weren't branded. So we needed packaging, and also we needed longer shelf life. So we think we had about 5 to 7 days, but they needed minimum 10 days shelf life. So we had a bit of work to do if we were going to win the finals. And we were up against another bakery brand.
I just love hearing this.
And so we went away, and I got food scientists to help me try and improve the product. And then my uncle Levar, he worked in marketing, so I said, hey, help me work on the packaging. And yeah, we did it all throughout the summer of 2023. And then when we went back and we pitched and they called our names, like, we couldn't believe that we'd won, because it now meant that for the first time, people were going to see FlakeBake as a brand. Not just in any shop, it's going to be in 1,000 supermarkets, and now we're going to be on TV, right? After that, after we won the show wasn't going to come out to the following year. So there's a number of things that needed to happen. Like, we needed to find a large volume manufacturer that could produce the volumes that Aldi wanted. Yeah. We couldn't make it all by hand. And so
I'm going to slow you down a little bit. If someone has a successful, this was counted as packaged food, right? Would it? For Aldi, like if someone had a successful business in what you did, not the TV show, how many stores is successful, just generally speaking?
So if you were to pitch to a retailer, you'd naturally probably start off anything between, say, maybe like 200 and 250 stores.
If successful.
Yeah, if you
that's a good order.
Pitch, you 250 stores. But we were going to get a national listing, which is very rare, especially for a product that Aldi had never sold a Jamaican patty before.
Crazy.
So to get a national listing in 1,000 stores, we didn't even understand how big this was. I can tell you that, because we'd never pitched to a retailer before.
Yeah.
We heard before, during my masters, I'd researched and I saw that the other patty brands are saying retail is tough, the margins are very slim, etc., etc. So I avoided it. And now here I am pitching and winning and knowing that we're going to be on national TV. So there's a slight difference there.
Yeah.
It's not just pitching and hoping. Now you're going to get a national audience across the UK. So there's a number of things. So after I won the TV show, I said to my dad in 2023, in 1 year's time, I'm going to change your lives. So I'd made a commitment that I'm going to change your lives. I then sat my wife down and I said, I know I said we were going to do something different and probably move, etc., but I'm not going to close the business now. I'm going to have to scale it, which wasn't an easy conversation because all the plans was moving towards something else. And so the next step was I went on social media, because everyone talks about the power of social media. I wasn't using it because my business was built outside of that. But we had it, but it wasn't active. I didn't have Instagram. And then I went on Instagram and I heard about like food influencers and things like that. So I thought, how am I going to get people to go and buy these patties if they don't know a brand? I need influencers, I need followers. And so I set myself the aim of setting up Instagram. I used one of my staff members to help me do it. and we reached out to a first food influencer called Dine on Date Night. She came down to a bakery, and that's the first time people are really knowing that, there's this Jamaican patty manufacturer.
Yeah.
And we got like our first 1,000 followers through her.
Wow.
And then we saw the impact. People coming to buy patties all the time, but individuals not. And I thought, well, this is not what I want, but I will need them next year when the patties actually do hit the shelves. And then the next influencer we got was a guy called Eating with Todd. And Todd had a big following. He had about 800,000 followers at the time.
Wow.
And he agreed. And I have to say, I'd reach out to a lot of people to say, hey, I do this. But because people don't know who I am, and I didn't have any following, whether my personal Instagram
or the business
page, I think people thought I was trying to sell them a patty when I really wasn't. I was just trying to connect and broaden my network online to build my presence, because I know what was about to come. And so when Todd said yes, I thought, oh my God, people with 5,000 followers ignored me. This guy has 800,000 and he said yes. What does this mean? And just like I normally am, I do my research. I'm looking at the average views of his video. I'm seeing he's always hitting over 1 million. And I thought, okay, we could probably reach 1 million over time when this video comes out and stuff. The next thing was, outside of like Aldi, the TV show, I thought I want a long-term manufacturer, because if this thing blows up, I need someone that can make the patties. And what if other retailers reach out to me? What if investors reach out to me? So I'm doing all these things in the background. I was reaching out to investors, I was reaching out to manufacturers, but wasn't getting anywhere because no one knows me, right? I get on LinkedIn and I'm DMing people privately all the time, just say, hey, I'm Micheal Williams, I do this. This is what I do. But not many people responded. But I'm going to say, because of God, the right people responded at the right time. Yeah. That's one of the things that I can say happened. So before the TV show comes out, and I'm allowed to say the people that... So Lloyd's Bank, I remember seeing True Powell. He's Black Business Magazine.
True,
yeah. And I saw him saying, thank you to Lloyd's Bank for all the support you've given me and the magazine. And he mentioned a guy's name in there. And I thought, what? Lloyd's Bank are helping black businesses? I'm a black business. I mean, I never walked with the tag before, but I'm just like, well, I'm a black person. I've got a business. If they're helping black people, I want to be a part of that. So I messaged Lloyd's. And the guy, Neil, who responded, he was like, you've made my day. I can't believe, you're saying this. Let's have a meeting. And I have a meeting with him, and he brought in Kalia from Lloyd's as well. Someone I was due to meet anyway through a friend. And long and short is they came to the factory and they saw my operation. So they know I wasn't just saying that I'm making these patties. They've seen the operation. And that same day, a business bank was opened. They opened a bank account for me. I had a business account, but they said, let's just have one just in case. Let's just have start this relationship. Then they said, if you want a venue to host any event, we'll give you one. And I said, by the way, I'm going to be on TV and we could have a watch party. Yeah, because I never told him about the TV, because I thought what I was doing from before was good enough. No one knew me, but I knew what I'd built, and I knew the environment I'd built it in. And most Jamaican patty business in the handmade format never get to that stage anyway. So I thought what I had as a business owner, I had built enough reputation. But people didn't, because I didn't have following, no one cared. But Lloyd's came down and they saw what I was doing. And so they sort of backed me in that sense. They gave me the venue. And so couldn't find a manufacturer to convince that, hey, if this thing does well, can he help me make it? They were all saying no. I always say I got 33 no's. I got a consultant, he had a spreadsheet with about 33 of them had already said no. So I thought, well, do you know what? We're just going to go on TV, see what happens, and take it from there. A week before, the influencer Todd puts the video out. Within 4 days, we had 2 million views on that video. And I thought, wow. There were just queues outside of a bakery, like individuals coming from all over buying all over the UK coming to buy the patties now. And I go back to Aldi and I said, the patties are going to come on your shelf in a few days. I think you should increase the order. Little did I know, everything was already in place. You can't just increase order in large volume manufacturing like that. Everything was already ordered. The amount of products, goods, everything was ordered, raw materials. And the TV show airs in April 2024. And then all 25,000 units are sold out in 48 hours.
Wow.
And that's when it really clicked that something was happening. And my life really did change from that point, because the day after the TV show, I was talking to news reporters. I was on TV and I was meeting with the Jamaica High Commissioner. And it's never stopped since then.
Wow.
I just kept meeting other people within high spaces. And I also did another thing. So on LinkedIn, I'd seen all these awards. So about the awards that you're mentioning, I then discovered that there's a lot of awards and stuff. Like I never heard about any of these things in my 12 years in business. So what I did, as someone that loves blazers, I bought a bunch of blazers, new blazers. And I said to my wife, I'm going to need these. Buy some dresses as well, because we're going to need these. Not even telling her. I said, I'm going to be at some of these places, because I could see the people on LinkedIn. And I again, before the TV show, I just felt like the things that I was doing was credible enough to be among these people. So when the TV show came out, that only added to it now. So the awards, I was applying for everything, because I thought, yeah, I qualify for these kind of things. And that year we'd applied for nine awards. We made it to the finals of all of them, and we won 5. So that's how even these things I'd thought about. So it was all strategic. In the end, we did another special buy. We sold 80,000 patties in a week. Again, that's when
from 25,000 to 80,000
in a week. And that's when Aldi said, if you find a manufacturer, which I'd already been trying to find, we'll give you a contract to supply the patties. And then he said, we'll buy about 30,000 a week. And so you just need to find a manufacturer. So between May and September, I was all over the news. There was no patties in Aldi, but I just kept myself relevant and trying to talk. Even when the budget came out, things about the budget or the economy, I was on the news talking, because I'd studied economics and politics. I'd worked in investment banking. I could talk about these things. But we didn't have any patties in the summer, throughout the summer in Aldi 2024. We didn't. We just had the special buys. Nothing happened. And then I remember calling the buyer, saying to him, I can't believe you guys are not going to have any patties for Carnival. It's the biggest time of the year. And he said, okay, when is it? I told him the date. And then I remember...
Is it his business? It's not his
business. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call and he goes, okay, we'll buy another 80,000. And I remember putting the phone down. I called my dad and I said, Dad, that's the biggest deal I've ever made in my life. Just by casually saying, I can't believe you're not going to... So we had a third special buy and did well. We sold 80,000 again, or just under 80,000. And we sold 70,000 in our handmade patties as well. How that happened was at Notting Hill Carnival, we'd always been there for the last 12 years. No one knew the brand. This year, we wanted everybody to know the brand. So we made sure we printed FlakeBake patties sold there, gave it to all our customers, like shirts, all this stuff. And then Lloyd's Bank said, we want to showcase our presence in Notting Hill Carnival. Can we do a video together? This is what I'm saying about partnerships. We did this video, it went out on social media, and again, just expanded our presence. So people were going, looking out for FlakeBake. And so for the first time, I'd sold about 150,000 across my Notting Hill Carnival campaign. The year before that, I think we'd done 40,000. Life changed completely. The contract starts in September. Because of Aldi, I told them no one wants to make the patty. Aldi makes a few phone calls. The manufacturers start to call me back. And then this is how the yes comes in. And I'm just going to skip now. So they wanted to buy 30,000 a week. Do the maths, about 1.5 million is what they'd project to sell for the year. At the end of that first year, we sold 2.6 million patties after that year. And we still sold 1 million in our handmade business as well. So that had grown. We still sold 1 million, but I most of the times I was focused on the Aldi numbers, because I remember, again, the buyer saying to me, to sell 1 million of anything in a year as a new product, a new line, is unbelievable. And then we sell 2.6 million.
Wow.
So again, of course, our contracts extended and we started looking at other products of what we can bring to market. So my life really, really has changed. And now you see me at the awards and all these kind of things.
Bro, you didn't tell us about the manufacturer. How did you pick the manufacturer?
How did I pick the manufacturer? Now, because a number of them called me back because of Aldi, now I could choose. Before I had nobody. And how I chose was just who could help me grow and who wanted to see me grow. and also who made the patty the closest to a handmade one, because it's not the same,
of course,
but you want to bring it as close as possible to the handmade ones. So yes, it's our recipes. We work with them to develop the recipes. We sign NDAs and things like that. So anybody that wants to make a product, if you go to manufacturers, make sure you have NDAs and make sure you have legal advice. Otherwise, sometimes you can get messed up. But we had people that now believed in us based on what we had not done, and that's how I chose a manufacturer.
It's mad because we are running out of time and I feel like we could do this for another hour. But I want to ask a question, right? So people could really understand this. You went from handmade patties, many staff making the fillings, making the patties themselves,
15 to 20 staff,
selling direct to customer. Yeah. Now you're selling 2.6 million through Aldi alone, right? What does that look like in practice in compared to your handmade business? Like, what does that look like practically from a business standpoint?
The one of the biggest lessons I learned from the Aldi experience was outsourcing. I think if I'd known about outsourcing many years ago, then I would have been pushing for that. So in my handmade business at any given time, 15 to 20 people making these 20,000 patties a week. Now we're selling 2.6 million patties a year through Aldi, but that's through an outsourced manufacturer, which means my team is only 3 people. Literally 3 people, one person managing the Aldi account, me managing the relationship between manufacturer and supplier, and I've got a business development manager. Everything else I have is outsourced. So I've got an EA, that's outsourced. I've got a legal advisor, that's outsourced. But within my team, there's really 3 people on a day-to-day. One of them now would be my wife, who's left corporate to support me in the business. And that's why you see her everywhere with me, because we decided, let's build this together. And my dad's not really involved in the business, but he's a shareholder, and he's almost like, my dad is my hype man. You know, the way you're hyping him up, my dad is my hype man. He believes in me the most. So I go to him when I have my challenges and when things are going well, but he believes in me so much so that I just believe I can do anything at all. So the business is completely different. So I'm always going to look towards outsourcing because you can scale so much more, you know. But with the handmade, there's only so far you can take it because you need people and not, you know, the skills required to make a patty. It's you know, it's a dying skill, I'd say. It's definitely a dying skill.
Mike, can we just take a round?
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you.
Sensational.
Fantastic.
Sensational. So many gems there. We always wrap up by asking people. Actually, let me ask you first, and then we'll ask you the final one. Final question from me. From you, what's next for FlakeBake?
Yeah, so I spent, after a year being out in public a lot, I spent this summer working in a number of different products. So NPD, developing a range of products across category to hopefully pitch them. I know we've pitched some already. So 2025, 2026, it's 2026, 2027. It's looking really good for us because we've got a number of products coming to market, and that's what we're trying to do. Just develop our brand and seeing how far I can take this.
Is it on the same banner or is it going to be new, completely new?
Different products, so it's not just patties. We're trying to work on different things, but I can't say them yet.
No, not saying.
It doesn't happen until it happens.
But we'll be back for the exclusive when it drops. We'll be on the run. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
That's amazing, bro. Congrats for that.
After all that success, like you said, final question. After all that success, what have you been able to do? What motivates you now? Because a lot of people just say, "Look, I've done it. Like I've got these. Like if I do nothing, I'm already good." But they say if you keep still, you get surpassed. You become yesterday's news. What keeps motivating you to carry on looking for new products, looking to grow, looking for new audiences, innovating when you've already cracked the market? Like you've done all these patty businesses that have come before haven't reached where you've reached like that. Do you know what I mean? What made you decide that you're gonna carry on looking at new horizons? What motivates you?
Well, it's because okay, let's start. I'm a father of 2 and a husband, so I want to give my children the best experience in life, academically and just socially. So I'm literally working for my children, right? And also to try and just give my wife the best life I can give. But then the other part of it is the community. So you both spoke about our children, and so we want to uplift them. We want to create an environment that they can come and say, okay, I want to go into law. Okay, I know someone in law. I want to go in TV. I know someone in TV. I know people that do podcasting. So that kind of thing, you want to create that for the community because it's not there enough, or we need it to be bigger. And so that is one of the motivations. But also coming from Jamaica and knowing the life that I started off with, like I want to make my country proud.
I love that.
So I'm just going to keep building that. People can say, there is that Jamaican guy that started off in this little community. And if he's done it, then you can do it too, because he started off down here. So these are my motivations. A number of things, just wanting to be the best individual that I can be.
That's amazing, bro.
Hey, big up all the Jamaicans.
I love it. Finally, one thing we always ask, bro, is so people get a wider picture, right? We always ask for a W and an L of your journey. The L can be a lesson. It doesn't have to be the best or worst one, just something that comes to mind, just to give some people some insight on the journey.
The two biggest ones. And I spoke about, I'm going to say one, because I spoke about this at the top of the podcast around giving credit. There's one particular customer that really, biggest customer, taking half of our products, giving too much credit. And over time, I think because they knew they were our biggest customer, they took advantage. They really, really took advantage. Started owing me a lot of money, didn't want to pay. And he even had a go at me when I demand my payments. And so after a very long time, I was like, you know what, I'm not going to take this anymore. So I cut off supply. And unfortunately, that meant because I cut off supply, he decided not to pay me at all. And I always think to myself, if I could go back, what I would have done is never let it get that far, because what eventually happened is that I had to take him to court. But during that period, before he wouldn't respond to me, and then the TV show comes out not long after, and now I know so many people on LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. So I needed a good lawyer, which wasn't very hard to come by now. And someone had introduced me to a very good one, and I explained to them what had happened, and they said, don't worry, we'll get your money back. And within I think maybe about 4 months, he had to pay up. But it's my biggest sell, because I was scared. I'm like, what if, and it did change company name and everything, but we had proof that even when he changed the company name, he was already paying me from that new company. And so he couldn't deny the liability, because why was he paying it beforehand? So I know we spoke about this stuff about me making it easy and accessible for people to order and give a bit of credit and stuff like that. But I would say now I'm a bit more strict with that kind of stuff. And you should really make sure you assess the people. But again, we had a good relationship. They used to pay and then they just stopped. So yeah, that was the biggest L I'd faced. But it turned out to be a win, because I managed to get the money back. And I'm assuming this guy, he owes a lot of people money, but I'm one of them that he couldn't mess with. And it was an L, but I'm now proud of it because I got the money back.
Love them.
Yeah, it's like a WL Raptor one.
Yeah, all in one. Hey, big Mike.
Bro, we've appreciated having you on. Look at the camera and let them know where they can find you.
So, you can find FlakeBake at FlakeBake Patties, www.flakebake.co.uk. You can order patties online, handmade ones. They get delivered right around the UK. Or you can find your nearest Aldi and go and buy a new patty. We've got an improved recipe coming out soon, so look out for that. But yeah, thank you to everyone for all your support over the last year. Thank you to all the businesses that have supported us over the last 12, 13 years. We're very grateful. And guys, thank you so much for the work you're doing. Thank you for having me on. I remember when I came on the scene last year and we said, we'll get you on the podcast. And it took for me all the way to Dubai to get on the podcast. But it's been amazing. So thank you so much, and keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you.
I follow Mike on LinkedIn as well, because he's posted a lot of updates on the business and stuff.
Please do follow me on LinkedIn. My most recent post was about the hurricane in Jamaica, which devastated our country. And, there's a massive relief drive or fundraising drive that we're supporting as well. So please do support, and you see it all on my LinkedIn. So again, thank you so much, guys, for the platform.
Thank you for joining us, guys. You already know the gems that were dropped on this already. On the Patreon, there's going to be more gems from Mike directly for the guys on the Patreon. But otherwise, make sure you like, share, and subscribe as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.